Hi everyone, SpiderMan 1991 here to talk about my comic books for the week. Time to kick it off with my favorite title, or one of my favorites, Amazing Spider-Man number 662. The second and final part of Christos Gage's team up with Spidey and the Avengers Academy as they take on Psycho Man. Psycho Man still has control. Psycho Man, a being from the microverse who has control over emotions and whatever, has controlled the Avengers Academy kids and pretty much attacking everything around them. But fortunately, though, after they begin attacking civilians, Spidey is able to get through to Reptile to allow him to break control, and Reptile gets Veil to break Psycho Man's control, and then eventually they're able to get the other kids to break free and take out Psycho Man. Once they damage his suit, though, Psycho Man, since he's from the microverse, starts to shrink back into a subatomic, starts to shrink down back into the microverse because he's microscopic. And Spidey takes the kids home and he gives tells Giant Man about what happened, starts to regret taking the kids on a dangerous mission, and tells Hank that he should just take his name off the Avengers sub list, but the kids stick up for him and tell him that was the best class ever, and they learned a lot from Spider-Man. And Spidey's starting to feel a little proud of himself, and then Hank says, well, why don't we make this a regular thing? And they all just go, no! It's funny. Okay. This little two-parter was pretty good, but it felt like filler. I like Christos Gage. He's great. I think he does write a pretty great Spider-Man. Granted, not as good as Dan Slott, but this was a good arc. It did feel like filler it just felt like filler right now because leading into what Spider Island's going to be like. And also Dan Slott will be back writing next issue, which will also feature a guest appearance by Anti-Venom. Next up, Captain America 618. We start to form idea is formed about why Bucky was taken back to Russia. And to this issue, there's three parts. There's Agent 13, Sharon Carter with Black Widow, and after they start to get some pieces to the puzzle, though, Black Widow decides to go rogue because Sharon wants to do everything by the book, but that doesn't go well with Widow, so she leaves. And our second part, the main story, which is Bucky in prison, he's able to hold his own against the former Titanium Man, but during the conversation with the prison warden, we learn that apparently they're trying to break Bucky and try to make him savage again and bring him back into and break him down back into the Winter Soldier. And that's again proven towards the end of Bucky's tale when a riot breaks out. A prisoner helps him, but next thing we know, it's a trap. And Bucky is kidnapped by Colonel former Soviet commander Rostov, that's his name, and he says that, and in the end he mentions that, let's see if the Winter Soldier remembers the activation codes. And Steve, he learns from that Henry Peter Grinch got his hands on some Russian documents that proved that Bucky appeared in the U.S. back in the 70s and 80s to perform some assassinations on U.S. soil. And the guy who gave Grinch the documents winds up dead, and so does the spy who shot Grinch's guy. Okay. Alright, Captain America 618. It gives us a little reason as to why Bucky was sent back to Russia. They're trying to break him down and turn him back into the Winter Soldier. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make Bucky their own assassin again. Who knows if that works or not, because if it does work, that might be the reason Steve returns to the Captain America costume. And if not, maybe that'll be too traumatic an experience for Bucky to just take a break, and maybe Steve will take up the mantle of Captain America again. Because Steve Rogers is going to take up the Captain America mantle again. They're going to start a new volume of stories with Steve back in the costume, although we're not so sure what happens to Bucky. Alright, my final Marvel title, FF, number 4. The council meets to discuss. The council meets and Reed tells them about what they're facing, which is alternate versions of Reed Richards. But while most of the council suggests that they go after the families of the Reeds, Reed points out that they are different versions of him, but they don't have families or friends. They only have each other. I mean, they don't have each other. The Richardses. And during this whole council meeting, Sue gets a message that old Atlantis is under attack. So she asks Alex Power and SpiderMan to come with her. But in the council, though, Reed makes a comment when Reed starts talking about how much the other Reeds want to conquer stuff. Doom says, "I think I like these guys," but Reed tells him, "Yeah, every version of Victor Von Doom they meet, they turn to a vegetable," which Doom is not very happy about. And then Valerie informs them of the weapon they need, which involves a machine buried on the moon, which is why they attack the Inhumans. Then a portal, then something to do with the negative zone, and the ascension engine in the Forever City, which was where the High Evolutionary worked on the mole people, and a thermal vent, which was under Old Atlantis. So Spider-Man, Alex Power, and Sue Storm arrive at Old Atlantis to see that it's under attack, and the barrier between it is being broken. And if that barrier is breached, then the Atlanteans will lose their water supply, and they'll be exposed to air and die. Oh, and also the FF do use the unstable molecules of their costume to change their appearance, and I do kind of like the black versions of their costumes. And during the fight, though, all of a sudden, the Mole Man comes up with an army of monsters, and he's also joined by an alternate version of Reed Richards. Alright, seems like right now with this arc, with the FF going against the Council of Reeds, it seems like everything that all the seeds that Jonathan Hickman was planting during his run on the Fantastic Four series is starting to grow with this run. It's starting to all come together for one awesome story, which would be the Council of Reeds, the Old Atlantis, Forever City, and the Anti-Priest and the Negative Zone portal. Everything's starting to come together. Oh yeah, and the Inhumans are all starting to come together for this arc. Hopefully, so far it looks pretty awesome. I really want to know what the Council of the whole Council of people against Reed, they're calling it the Council of Doom. I'm interested to know what they have planned and how they plan to stop not one but 3 Reed Richards all at once. And that's it for Marvel. Now for DC. First off, Action Comics 901. Picking up from where we left off, the Superman team realizes that they've been fighting clones of Doomsday, and because the cyborg is annoying, Superman rips out his heart. Don't worry, it's a mechanical heart. He can just put it back later. And Team Superman grabs the original Doomsday so that they could learn about Doomsday and try to figure out a weakness for the clones. And they try to figure out a way they can get off the ship and sort of defeat the Doomsdays. And during the fight, though, they are able to hold their own for the clones for the most part. But we're also learning that there's some sort of spacecraft headed towards Earth that can mean planet-wide extinction. And when it seems like the Team Superman is able to get away, they run into Doomslayer. So who's Doomslayer? And right when they meet Doomslayer, he rips apart the Eradicator. I don't know what that means. The Eradicator is a being of energy, so all Doomslayer did was pretty much just rip his original form apart. So his organic form. So maybe they can bring back the Eradicator, maybe not. Maybe he's gone for good. Don't know. Not really a big deal. I am anxious to know about Doomslayer, who he is. Again, another twist on the whole Reign of Doomsday story. We're now left with the idea about who this Doomslayer guy is. I mean, he does look a lot like... Let's try to find that shot again. Yeah, here he is. He does look a lot like Doomsday. Maybe they're from the same origin. Maybe he's another clone of Doomsday, or maybe Doomsday is a clone of him, but we're not entirely sure. I mean, there could be some Kryptonian heritage, because earlier the Eradicator did notice some sort of writing on the ship, and he said he could translate it, but, you know, I cannot wait for for the rest of this, though. It looks pretty awesome. I've been enjoying Superman's return on Action Comics now. So far this looks way more interesting than Grounded. Okay, now it's time. Okay, Detective Comics 871. Before I get into Detective Comics, I just want to point out in the very middle, if you buy this issue of Detective Comics, you will receive this: a preview for whatever that movie, Super 8 by Steven Spielberg. You'll get some sort of preview issue or whatever the hell this is, right in the middle of the book. I mean, it's not going to be in the back. I only took it out because it was right in the middle of the book, and I was going to review this, and I usually open the books, and I didn't want this to sort of get in the way, but this was like right in the middle of the comic, just like right in the middle. It felt like one of those things where you're watching a TV show, then all of a sudden it just cuts to the news. That is annoying. And I just took it out, though. It's a little hard because it's right in the middle. It felt easy, but I was able to get it apart, take it out really easy, but I don't know. The way they had it just in the middle of the book was really annoying. Yes, I took it out. Yes, you can just move past it. I'm just saying it's really annoying. Moving right along, Detective Comics. After Batman is able to defeat the mountains of cars being crushed and get his way out of there, takes up some snipers the way the Cape Crusader does. Then he meets the man he was supposed to. Then he meets the guy he was supposed to meet, Bixby Rhodes. And Rhodes apparently reveals he has some sort of mechanical legs, which he uses to hop away. But Batman goes after him and says, "Okay, forget this." Just shoots a grappling hook, trips him up, and makes him fall. And he asks Rhodes about what's going on, and Rhodes pretty much tells him about his whole operation, about planting drugs in rich people's cars so that police will confiscate the cars, then hold police auctions for them at fraction of the price. Then he can just resell them and stuff. But so far, there's really no connection between him and Sonia Branch, aka Sonia Zuko. That's right, the woman. That's right, she's the daughter of the mobster who killed Dick Grayson's parents. And so Batman pretty much scares the crap out of him. And this Batman is Dick Grayson. Again, I gotta point that out. But when Batman tells Gordon what he's found out, they still have no connection between the dead whale and Bixby. So Batman and Gordon reveals that Sonia decided to come forward and talk to Batman about this. She tells him that because of her father's background and because she works at a bank, several criminals have come to her and asked if they could just open accounts and stuff and create business with the bank that she works with. But even though she's turned down the Falcones and Maronis, most of them have just said, after she said no, they've just walked away. But two people didn't. One, the person Batman's already met, Brian Bixby, and another guy, a smuggler and pirate called Tiger Shark, who lives in a boat outside near Gotham. So Batman apologizes for accusing her of being involved in this, and he just takes the new Batboat and heads off. And he does manage to find Tiger Shark's boat, which is huge. I don't think they even covered it with just this one page. Okay, Detective Comics 871. I have been enjoying Scott Snyder's run on this. This story has been pretty interesting with trying to connect everything, the dead whale, Sonia Zuko, and this guy Tiger Shark, about what he has planned. It's a very interesting story, and it's something that you kind of have to connect the dots with, but I'd say it's worth it. If you have the chance to pick it up, then I'd say get it. Oh, I just want to point out though that this right now this isn't jump on friendly, so you should probably look at the past, find the past issue, and then get this just to kind of help get you a better frame of mind about what's going on. All right, now for War of the Green Lanterns, and this is something interesting. But all 3 Green Lantern books that are involved in this came out this week. All 3 came out. This is just great. So I'm just going to review each one. I'm going to review these 3 together as a whole. Just describe it, okay? Now then, Part 7, taking place in Green Lantern 66. Guy Gardner and Hal Jordan are facing a bunch of entity-possessed Guardians. And while it seems like they're losing, Guy decides to use Corona's power gauntlet and fight back. They were close, but no cigar. The Guardians are able to take them out, and Corona takes them prisoner. And also we get a little idea about what's going on in the Book of Black with the people who are trapped in there, such as Sinestro. Sinestro is apparently reliving some sort of dream or whatever, where he's fighting a manhunter, and he's still a Green Lantern, but he starts to get himself out of it. He starts to look through the pages of the book, and he sees St. Walker, LaFleas, Atrocitus, living through memories and whatnot. Then Sinestro runs into Indigo, or apparently she does not want to be called Indigo, and apparently she was a prisoner of Abin Sur. Who knows what that means, but Sinestro is trying to figure out how to get out, but he's unable to. And Corona has Guy and Hal tied up, and he plans to use... Apparently the bandages Corona was wearing helped give him the new sort of Guardian form he has now, and now he's trying to do the same thing to Hal and turn them into Guardians for his new Corps, for what he has planned. Next part. Okay, this next... I should have said this before I started reviewing the War of the Green Lanterns, but there will be a massive spoiler. There will be a massive spoiler. I do not want to give it... If you don't want to know what happens, just fast forward about maybe 10 minutes or so towards the end of this or something, because if you don't want to hear about it, then just fast forward right now, okay? Done? Good. Alright, next part. The tale now moves to John and Kyle's perspective as they try to deal with Mogo, who's releasing a ton of Green Lantern rings, and because Parallax is in the central power battery, and Corona has control over Parallax, he's pretty much controlling every Green Lantern in the universe right now. So John's trying to stop the Green Rings from leaving Mogo, and they're trying to get to the center of Mogo, which contains his brain, but they get a ton of Green Lanterns attack. Kyle is able to use his blue ring to hold them off, but they are able to get to Mogo's brain, which is apparently a huge, giant power ring. So Kyle tries to use his blue ring to get it to work, but again, nothing works. And apparently Mogo is still... And because during Blackest Night, Mogo absorbed a ton of Black Lanterns into his surface, some remainder of the black energy is still there. And Kyle gets knocked out, and there are tons of Green Lanterns coming on him, and John realizes now he has no choice. First John tries to tap into the green energy Mogo has, but that connects him to Corona's mind, and he learns that every single being of the universe is starting to get possessed by a green power ring, and soon everyone will be under Corona's control, and John can't let that happen. So he uses the Indigo ring to tap into the black energy. And now John has Black Lantern powers, and he's creating a sniper rifle. Next thing we know, boom! John Stewart destroys Mogo. Yeah. That sucks. Mogo is dead. Took him out like Osama bin Laden. Next part. Guy and Hal are still about to get taken over by Corona's magic bandages, but a huge psychic backlash occurs with the death of Mogo, and tons of Green Lanterns are now falling out of the sky. Kyle's pretty much angry and sad at the same time that John had to kill Mogo. And Kyle thinks that he could try to get enough mass to help restart Mogo's core, but it doesn't work. And so they head back to Oa. Then this gives Kyle and Guy enough chance to break free, and they grab Ganthet and the book and get out of there. And they meet up with Kyle and John, and they decide. And John tells them that he killed Mogo. Guy's a little pissed at him, but Kyle tells them that they need to ignore this right now and head to the power battery and get Parallax out of there. They try their best, but Ganthet recovers himself and tells them that they all need to concentrate every single raw emotion they have into their blast. And it shouldn't just be the 4 rings they have, but the other 2, love and avarice. So Ganthet gives Guy and Hal the other 2 rings, and he tells them to concentrate and let all their raw emotions flow through them. And they fire the power. They produce enough of a crack in the power battery to get Parallax out. Well, actually, first it's not effective, so it's up to Guy. And Ganthet tells him to try to balance out the hate and love in his life. And Guy doesn't seem to focus, but then he realizes he loves the core, but he hates being filled with rage, which breaks Parallax out. And now Parallax is free, and all the Green Lanterns are now free under their control. And the 4 Earth Lanterns get their rings back. Oh, and right before they do so, Kyle is able to use his blue ring to overload Guy's red ring and cure him. From being killed by the red ring. And so the 4 Earth Lanterns are back to being green. But one problem still remains, and that is the rest of the emotion entity-controlled Guardians and Corona himself. But fortunately, they have the entire core backing them up. Alright, and so that concludes the June parts 7, 8, and 9 of War of the Green Lanterns. War of the Green Lanterns has definitely been a game changer. I just thought War of the Green Lanterns would just be something for the summer just because of the movie, but now this, with the death of Mogo, that is a huge game changer for the books. And I'm pretty sure this is going to cause people are really going to start to hate DC now because they killed someone so important. I mean, Mogo did have an important role. He was responsible for distributing rings throughout the entire universe. But Mogo's sacrifice wasn't in vain, as the Earth Lanterns were able to get Parallax out of the central power battery. So now the Green Lanterns are now free from Corona's control, so it's all of them against Corona and the entity-possessed Guardians of the Universe. Okay, if you haven't been reading War of the Green Lanterns right now, I'm sorry, but you should just wait for the trade to come out, okay? At this point, it's not really... You can't just jump in on it right now, but you have to wait for the trade. And if you've just been if you've just been getting Green Lantern the whole time, you need to get all 3 of these books. You need to get all the parts that are in Green Lantern, all the parts that are in Green Lantern Corps, and all the parts that are in Emerald Warriors, just to give you the full story about what's going on here. Alright, I guess that's all I have to say. Oh, one more... No, that's all. Okay, so we'll have to say here, except parts 7, 8, and 9 of War of the Green Lanterns is great. It's definitely something that's changing not the entire DC universe, but just the Green Lantern universe, or Green Lantern books right now. And Detective Comics 871. Scott Snyder's run has definitely been enjoyable. Wonder who Tiger Shark is, how this whole story arc is going to work out. If you haven't been checking it out, get the issue before this one, before reading it, so you know what's going on. Action Comics 901. Really great to have Superman back. Can't wait to find out who Doomslayer is. FF number 4. Seems like everything Hickman's planning is coming to fruition. Can't wait to see where this goes and how they're supposed to defeat alternate Richardses. Captain America 618. How's Bucky going to get out before he's brainwashed again back into being the Winter Soldier? And Amazing Spider-Man 662. A great story, two-parter by Christos Gage. Felt a little like filler, but it was still enjoyable nonetheless. And comic of the week, I'm going to say comic of the week is Green Lantern Corps number 60 because that is because the important thing that happened in War of the Green Lanterns happened in this issue, and that's why I think is comic of the week. The only reason I'm saying it, I haven't brought it up right now is because someone probably fast forward if they didn't want to hear the spoilers. Okay, and that's everything. SpiderMan 1991 saying, see you later.